and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video we're having a look at Metaboss, which is a blockchain game that's kind of coming out of closed testing into a more kind of open testing. It is really interesting. It is complicated as well, so I won't pretend that I fully understand or even half understand what's going on here. But the broad scheme of Metaboss is it is a game, a meta game that is based around blockchain game NFTs. So I guess a lot of us in the blockchain game world are kind of excited about what you can do with blockchains and games, but we've kind of come across many obstacles in terms of making this into anything like, not even mass market, but into getting anyone to get involved in these sort of things. And this is, I guess, a reaction against kind of trying to go, what's a good game? Can we put it on the blockchain? This is much more like, what works really well on the blockchain and how can we make a game around that? So this is the kind of thing that you couldn't really do without using blockchains. You potentially sort of could with a centralized server, but it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. The point of doing this is that you're using public permissionless blockchains and items that are locked to those blockchains, controlled by those blockchains that people own. So anyhow, there is a whole bunch of kind of you can see story kind of based around this sort of stuff, which I don't know if that's helpful to people or not. I guess if it was just a very abstract sort of thing, then people wouldn't get their heads around it in such a way. The story I find of this may be a bit more complicated than it otherwise would be. But basically, yeah, codename Metaboss, the biggest boss fight in history. So you're using NFTs you already own, and you are there's the evil Scourge Corporation. I don't know how you pronounce it. So anyway, the baddies or the goodies, the Freaky League of Extraordinary Creatures, and then to make it a bit more complicated, there are 3 different factions in the Freaky League of Extraordinary Creatures. So yeah, stuff goes on. So this is a idle MMO. So each week there's a 12-week storyline, and every week there's 2 separate phases. Sunday to Wednesday is players choose who they want to fight for. They can choose obviously the baddies or one of 3 good factions. And then Thursday through to Saturday is the kind of action part, and the action part is basically the people who are in these teams deciding their strategy. The basic strategy is very simple. It's like a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing. But there's kind of voting going on there, and there's kind of like multipliers depending on how many people get involved, and the whole thing with blockchains and DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations where no one's in charge, but they kind of come to some sort of group arrangement. So, in terms of what's been going on in round 5, the Scourge handily beat down Sage Core with this score of that, and they've won 4 out of 6 out of 8 rounds, and blah blah blah. So there's that sort of kind of stuff going on here, which is, I don't know, this seems a very complicated point system. So we have the factions here, so the evil ones and then various good ones. So there's infiltration, analytics, and assault. I really won't go into kind of too much detail on this, partly because I don't understand it, but we can kind of, there's all this kind of stuff. Obviously, to begin with, you need a wallet. They're saying MetaMask or Portis. MetaMask, I guess, is more widely used. This is the interesting bit here. So at the moment, what NFTs, what non-fungible tokens does the game support? So we can see a whole bunch of games here that are pretty well known. There's even like Super Rare, which is like kind of artwork. Ethereum name service, which is like as it says, a name service for Ethereum wallets, but then the rest of the stuff is pretty broad, well-known kind of game NFTs. Not quite sure what Urbit ID is. You try to join a faction during the recruitment process. During the showdown, you have to vote for the strategy, pick your individual actions every hour, and then it starts getting kind of complicated. That there's the different, depending on what group you're in, there's a different day for what you're doing. So there's infiltration, analysis, and assault. But you have to play every 3 days. So Yeah. I'm not going to go through all this sort of stuff. I don't understand it. And now it gets really complicated. There's this thing called a frag, which is a thing. You can buy them as well. What are they? No, I mean, I really don't know. And we can start to see all this kind of how the numbers work. That there's this kind of action is kind of encouraged. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to go through all this. The thing at the end is, then whoever at the end of every week, someone wins, and someone gets, players of the side who won get rewards, frags, cherries, which is an ERC20 token, and trophies apparently. So I guess what's interesting is if you look here, get some idea of. So this is obviously just looking at my my Ethereum wallet and seeing what NFTs I've got. It's a bit annoying for me that I've got a few NFTs spread across different wallets. Like at one point I was using the what's it called, the Dapper wallet, rather than I was using Dapper wallet for some of the my Cheese Wizards, and a lot of my CryptoKitties are in that wallet, and I can't be bothered to move them all around. Although I don't think Cheese Wizards and CryptoKitties aren't supported in here anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyhow, you can kind of see, so I've got 31 NFTs in total. I also have an awful lot of F1 Delta Time ones. I was trying to work out how that game worked. So you can kind of see here, and then depending on different NFTs from different games work well in different ways. So we can kind of see my score here. So my partly because I've got so many F1 Delta Time ones, and they score quite highly on, or they score quite highly on the subterfuge. So I'm much better on subterfuge rather than intellect or combat. So I think I have to join the rogue. It only makes sense for me to join the rogue faction, or start to go and buy some more. What would I need to buy some more if I wanted to bulk up? Some more My Crypto Heroes might be good. I'm not sure how cheap they are at the moment. Anyway, you can kind of see, depending on what you've got, that kind of helps you decide kind of which way you want to go. So that's kind of how a kind of an overview. As I say, I'm not really sure certainly how these frag things work. So it is a little bit confusing, I guess. As the game comes out, the game starts to kind of roll out more openly, and we can start to see a bit more how it works. Like all these things, it's obviously an experiment, and I guess, unlike a lot of other games using the blockchain, this is not an attempt to encourage people who have never used a blockchain before to get involved in the game. This is clearly, kind of talking to the converted from that point of view. This is people who have spent the last 2 years, fiddling around with this sort of stuff, probably are game developers, have NFTs already that they've collected, and it's kind of like a thing to do with these NFTs that is not the game that they were created for, and obviously is a meta game. So that's kind of what's interesting about it. And I guess the journey is to experiment with that rather than worry too much about how accessible it is, and part of the mystique is the kind of weirdness of it. It's certainly very weird. When I first heard about it, I kind of thought it would be a much simpler kind of scenario than this. But there we go. Maybe I'm going to have to do a bit of homework. So these are the guys I'm going to have to join Rogue for infiltration. Anyway, stick with it. I'll try and stick with it as well. I'll do some more videos as the kind of stuff rolls on, and we'll learn how it all works. Thanks for watching the video. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we try and make sense of it all. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and hope to see you again soon.